This opportunity, first to appreciate you for giving me this opportunity so that I can be able to contribute towards this motion of great importance to our constituents and to our people within the constituency. Mr. Speaker, it is true that the Auditor General have done his part, but we need to appreciate the work that is being done by the Auditor General to make sure that there is transparency and accountability in terms of these funds, so that every time that even if the work of the Member of Parliament is not to oversee the whole kitty of the CDF, but he has a very important role of making sure that he patronage the whole issue of the CDF, Mr. Speaker. And we have seen quite a number of development in terms of infrastructure and work being done by this fund, Mr. Speaker. We have seen also serious development in terms of school infrastructure, making sure that we have modern schools and modern classrooms, whereby we are able to accommodate quite a number of students who are schooling within our constituency, increasing the number of uptake from public primary school to public secondary school, and making sure that there is 100% transition from our primary school to our secondary school, Mr. Speaker. This work cannot be done without the CDF fund. Among the many funds that we have within our republic, one of the funds that has been well utilized, Mr. Speaker, is the Ng-Cdf fund that is oversighted by the Member of Parliament from this country, Mr. Speaker. Also, we have seen serious development, Mr. Speaker, in terms of innovations, in terms of making sure that we have given our students enough infrastructure to make sure they are comfortable even when they are schooling and even when they are doing their studies within our public primary school, Mr. Speaker. The issue of the CDF also deals with in terms of security, making sure that, Mr. Speaker, we have enough police posts, we have enough police stations. We are looking into issues to do with those developments so that also we can be able to house our police officers and our police men and our police women within our constituency, so that we can enhance the security system within the constituency, Mr. Speaker. The bursary also has been a very, very big issue within our republic and within our constituency. And I dare say, Mr. Speaker, I think we also need to look at, in terms of fairness, how we distribute these bursaries, Mr. Speaker, in our constituency. Sometimes we realize that we have so many members. For example, in my constituency, Keba constituency, I have 120,000 voters, Mr. Speaker. And you realize the amount of money that we get for bursaries is not enough to make sure that there is equal distribution of these bursaries. Sometimes we tend to let some students go without the bursaries, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we will recommend, and with time, we are going to bring to the floor of this House an amendment to this Ng-Cdf Act so that we can be able to separate between the bursary and the infrastructure development of the CDF, Mr. Speaker, whereby we will make sure that any student within the Republic of Kenya can get an equal share of the bursary, whether you are in Kemba or whether you are in Wasingishu, whether you are in Wajir. The amount of bursary that each and every student gets allocated to him from the Constitutional Development Fund will make sure that all over the Republic is the equal amount of money that all the students are able to receive within the Republic, Mr. Speaker. And I therefore say that will bring this amendment and make sure that we support the bursary, make sure that we support the Ng-Cdf, so that we can separate the bursary and the infrastructure. And we make sure that even the board itself has been able to audit and to make sure that all the students within the Republic of Kenya are able to get same allocation of bursary wherever they are, so that we can make sure that there is fairness and there is equity in terms of how this Ng-Cdf is distributed. Some of us in our population, Mr. Speaker, we have a constituency like Raila. We have a constituency whereby you have more than 2,200 voters, Mr. Speaker. But the same amount of money you receive for the CDF from a constituency that has 25,000 voters is the same amount the person who has 120 or 250,000 voters is receiving, Mr. Speaker. And therefore it becomes very difficult in terms of how do you distribute these resources to all those members of your society. We had an incident whereby when people are coming to pick for bursaries form, We even lost a parent, Mr. Speaker, because it was on first come, first serve, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, we support the transparency and the accountability and whatever the Auditor General is doing, but we also make sure that there is equal distribution in terms of the resources, in terms of how much money we receive as a member, as a Ng-Cdf, wherever we are, whatever the constituency, so that we can make sure that, Mr. Speaker, there is that equity and fairness in terms of the distribution. Therefore, the work the Ng-Cdf is doing is amazing. You go to our constituencies, you'll see the boards all over that there is presence of the CDF or the money of the CDF wherever we are within our constituency. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I like to support. Thank you.
Kawanjiku, Owen, Mbaya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this motion that discusses the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the National Government Constituencies Development Fund for 26 constituencies that are basically at the coast region for the period 2013 to 2016. Honorable Speaker, one of the things that I need to note is this is for the 11th Parliament. This report covers the 11th Parliament, and actually they are late. I just hope that the committee in charge of CDF now will be able to give us reports on time. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I happen to have participated on this report when my friend Dr. Pokose came visiting at the coast to oversee, or to, when they were doing the audit, they were following on the audit queries. And I went around with Dr. Pokose, and I saw the kind of projects that were done and the issues that were raised. Honorable Speaker, it is important to note that CDF has significantly contributed to the development of this country, and more so at the coast where this report which this report talks about. Honorable Speaker, constituencies that for many years had not been developed have seen development because CDF is there. One of them is the Ganze constituency, which this report reports on. We have seen some level of development there because CDF has been there. The many constituencies in the coast and the coast region generally, if you look at government investment in these constituencies, you'll actually see that it is investment through CDF, and we want to commend the government, and we want to commend the Ng-Cdf board for the good work. Mr. Speaker, it is also worth noting, although many court cases have been, people have gone to court to challenge CDF, but there's one thing that we can never escape from, that CDF has helped communities in terms of bursaries, Mr. Speaker, in terms of development of schools, in terms of development of police stations, in terms of development of environment and youth. Today, a youth in a remote area in Ganze or in Kilifi North can have a football, can wear a football jersey, because Ng-Cdf has provided those facilities. Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that the usage of CDF is the matter of this report, how prudent the resources have been used. There are times when we worked with Honorable Pokose and we saw the shame on how members actually implemented CDF projects, where you are told that a school should have been built here, but you go there, there is no school. So I want to ask Ng-Cdf to actually strengthen the audit component, so that as Ng-Cdf committees are given money, there is good audit to ensure that the resources are used very well. We have seen, Honorable Speaker, I will tell you, I'll tell this House that my constituency has benefited immensely from CDF, and under my stewardship of CDF, I think we have done a commendable job. We have developed schools, we have developed very good infrastructure for schools, for chiefs, secure for police stations, you know, things that can be seen tangible in terms of development. What I would like to say is to ask governors that are given resources, actually more resources, that through county governments we would like to see more development. But I want to say that, lastly, I want to say that Ng-Cdf has seen families that would not have taken their children to school. Now those children are in school and are retained in school and are able to finish up to Form 4 and are able to actually come home and say, I have qualified, I have a qualification. Kids who have gone to university because of Ng-Cdf. So I would like to ask those litigants, those perpetual litigants who are always running from one courtroom to the other to try to stop CDF, that they need to stop these shenanigans and allow Kenyans to experience the magic of Ng-Cdf. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mbaya. Sarah Korere.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I also want to add my voice to this audited reports of the CDF. And I want to take a particular concern, Mr. Speaker, on how these reports sometimes are released to the public